إن الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وبعد. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in Surah Muzammil, the ayat which we recited in the first rakat, وَاصْبِرْ عَلَى مَا يَقُولُونَ وَاهْجُرْهُمْ حَجْرًا جَمِيلًا وَذَرْنِ وَالْمُكَذِّبِينَ أُولِي النَّعْمَةِ وَمَحِّلْهُمْ قَلِيلًا إِنَّا لَدَيْنَا أَنْكَالًا وَجَحِيمًا وَطَعَامًا ذَا غُصَّةٍ وَعَذَابًا أَلِيمًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addressed Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam with respect to people who used to criticize him unjustifiably, people who used to abuse him, people who used to say things to him only in order to hurt him. The people saying the things also knew it was not true, but they used to say those things to hurt Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addressed Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and said, you don't retaliate to that. You don't respond to that. وَاصْبِرْ عَلَى مَا يَقُولُونَ. Have sabr on what they are saying. وَهْجُرْهُمْ حَجْرًا جَمِيلًا. And remove yourself from them. Go away from them. حَجْرًا جَمِيلًا. Even that in a very beautiful manner. Separate yourself from them. حَجْرًا جَمِيلًا. In a nice manner, in a very nice manner. And then what did Allah say? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَذَرْنِي وَالْمُكَذِّبِينَ أُولِي النَّعْمَةِ وَمَهِّلْهُمْ قَلِيلًا. Allah says, leave me to deal with them. Let me deal with them. وَذَرْنِي. Let me deal with them. Leave me to deal with them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, we will tie them in chains and we will throw them into the hellfire. And they will be fed there, they will be given a food which will be horrible for them to even to swallow. The food will be adhab. The reason I'm saying is that today we are going through a time when once again there was some insane human being who made a film, and because of that there is turmoil everywhere in the world. A poor innocent man in Benghazi in Libya, the American ambassador, got killed. For what? What did he do? It's easy for us to get angry and say, you know, it is these Americans. Now, if you say this, if you use this kind of address, then how is it any different from people saying it is these Muslims? When people say it is these Muslims, we object. And we say, no, how can you completely take 1.5 billion, whatever population, and dump it into one box saying these Muslims? If so-and-so did something, that is that individual. Right? That is a fair way of looking at it. How can you combine everybody together? Then how can we combine everybody together and say these Americans? Believe it or not, on the day of judgment, the people who killed that American ambassador will have to answer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for what crime he was killed. Make no mistake. Make no mistake. The man was innocent. He was killed for something which he did not do. Did he make the film? For all you know, he must have been one of the biggest critics of this film. We don't know this. Maybe that previous night he spoke to his wife and said, what a foolish thing they did and why did they do that and so on. Who knows? And you killed him just because he happened to be in the wrong place. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. This is the behavior of Muslims. And what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, ignore them. Move away from them. Do not respond to them. Even if they say, and even when you move away, do that in a nice manner. Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, who is famous for many of his very wise sayings. Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu said, he said, kill the thing which is untrue by ignoring it. Ajib, huh? He said, kill the thing which is untrue by ignoring it. And he said, if you don't ignore it and if you speak about it, then you will draw the attention of those who rejoice in your trials and tribulations. Nobody knew anything. But because of your reaction, now everybody knows. Yes, somebody writes a book criticizing Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, full of lies. I don't even want to take the man's name. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. La'natullah alayhi. So he writes his book. Now what happens? If the fellow had written the book and if there was no reaction, nobody would even have known that such a book was written. But today, the title of that book is on the tongue of every child. Why? Because of the worldwide reaction. Somebody puts a fatwa on him, $2 million. He is walking around happily. Where is the $2 million? He is protected by his government, spends a lot of time. Now he is writing another book about those times. When will we learn? When will we learn? Reaction is the worst way of addressing any issue. Worst way. Just take this. It's not the first. As I said, even in the time of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, people used to criticize him. Otherwise, why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveal these ayat? For what? If there was no criticism, if there was no abuse, then why did Allah reveal the ayah? Allah revealed the ayat because people were doing these things. So it's nothing new. It happened from day one. And believe me, it will happen till the day of judgment. This is not going to stop. It's nothing new. Right? But the point is that every time something like this happens, take for example in the recent past, right? In my memory, in the recent past, the first one was the cartoons, the Danish newspaper cartoons, right? Now that is how many years? Maybe 2 years, 3 years, something like this, right? Now think about this. Between that time and this time, what are the positive steps that have been taken by Muslims to do the opposite, to present Islam and to present the seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a positive manner to the world? How many films did we make? How much of information dissemination have we been doing? How many books have been written, and so on and so forth? I wrote one book, and yesterday it got published. Alhamdulillah. So at least I can say I did one thing. Leadership lessons of the life from the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yesterday that book has gone on Amazon. So that book, at least I wrote one book. I wrote this much. But how many people have written? Who stops you? Who stops you? Not a question of money, because we have more money than anybody else. So who stops the Muslims from funding? You are saying here now, here is a man who made this horrible film and he was funded $5 million. He was given by so many other people, right? So many Jewish donors. So what prevents Muslim donors from giving 5 million, 10 million, 50 million, 500 million or whatever to make films which are complementary, which present the truth about Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Hollywood is Hollywood, Bollywood is Bollywood. You fund it, it will be done. They are in the business of making films, right? They don't care. As long as you provide the money, they will do it. So who stops you? We will not do that, but we will do all this tamasha which is happening all over the world, which is making the Muslims look once more. We fall into the same trap again and again and again. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, a Muslim is not bitten from the same hole twice. You put your hand in a hole, you get bitten. You don't put your hand back in the same hole. If you're doing that, it means you're stupid. So are we stupid or what? Why do we fall into the same trap again and again and again? How many times must this happen? Seriously, we have to ask these questions to ourselves. There is nothing loyal and brave and wonderful about reacting in this ridiculous manner about these things. How many Muslims are standing in the night praying tahajjud and crying before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and saying, oh Allah, do something about this? How many of us have done that? How many of us read dua tonight in tahajjud? Seriously, let us look at our religion and let us look at our behavior and understand that things are not going to simply happen like that. We have to learn to act responsibly. And we have to understand that just because you get angry and you do something, it does not free you from blame. It actually puts you into more trouble, both in this dunya as well as with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Islam does not sanction the killing of innocent people, no matter what the so-called cause. How can there be a cause? I mean, that's an oxymoronic statement. If a person is innocent, obviously there is no cause, right? You can't say you can't kill innocent people even if there is a cause. If there is a cause, they are not innocent. How is it? I mean, you cannot just go and shoot somebody or kill somebody just because they happen to, be of some nationality. It's absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Anyone who says that is talking against Islam. We have to act, and we have to act intelligently. If the man makes a film which is defamatory about the Prophet ﷺ, which is defamatory about Islam, deal with it in the courts. Go and ask this question and say, if I make a film which is defamatory about the Jewish people, you will call me anti-Semitic and you will put me in prison. Right? So now apply the same principle that if someone defames an entire race, if someone defames an entire people, an entire community, then they should be treated in the same way. So if I make a film which is anti-Hindu, I should also be put in jail. If I make a film which is anti-whatever else, I should be put in jail. So similarly, now if the man makes a film which is anti-Muslim, anti-Muhammad ﷺ, then you deal with him accordingly. Deal with this thing in the courts. People are reasonable, people understand, then that will become a talking point. That will be discussed in a civilized manner everywhere, and you will spread awareness, positive awareness about Islam. Instead of that, what do our people go and do? They go and kill a poor innocent man for no rhyme or reason. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. How terrible, how sad is that? Supposing that person who died was me. Supposing that person who died was you. How would you like it? Would your family say, yeah, you know what, after all, the Indians did that, so my father is Indian, therefore they killed him, that is fair. Are they going to say that? How are these people going to answer Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? When that man will stand up before Allah and he will say, oh Allah, before you throw me wherever you want to throw me, please ask these people to say on what crime they killed me. What is the answer to that? This is a question. This question will be asked on the Day of Judgment, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is adil. Allah does not give us the right to kill people. Let us stop reacting. Let us stop acting foolish. Understand the advice that I just mentioned of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu. He said, kill the thing which is untrue by ignoring it. The criticism of Prophet ﷺ, is it true? It's not true. So let some dog bark. Why do we care? Why do we care? Do you respond to every dog which is barking? Kill the thing which is untrue by ignoring it. And he said, if you speak about it, you will only draw the attention of those who take pleasure in your problems, who take pleasure in your trials and tribulations. I advise myself and you, let us not fall into this trap. Stop this reactionary behavior. If somebody asks you these questions, advise them and tell them, don't stop this reactionary behavior. It does not help anybody. It only adds to the problems. Let us be proactive. Let us try to present Islam in the best possible manner. Let us make some effort. It's easy to react. It's much more difficult to be proactive. Let us make some effort, be proactive, inshallah, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is our witness. Why are we bothered about the opinion of everybody else? Let them think whatever the hell they think. Who cares? Who cares? Why are you bothered? Why do you care? We don't care. If they want to curse Nabi Sallallahu, that's their problem. Let them curse. They'll go into hellfire. What's your problem? Let us see how much am I presenting Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and his seerah in a positive manner. Let's look at that part of it. Am I showing the seerah of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in my actions, in my behavior, in my appearance, in my homes, in my culture, in my society? That is what we need to look at, not anything else. Let us try to focus on that. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy for us to do that and to truly represent Islam in the world in a way which brings positive attention to Islam instead of negative attention. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyil kareem wa alihi wa sahbihi ajmain bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahim.